What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/EntitledParents. Now, today's first story, as you can tell by the title, is a bit of a mad one. In it, a horrible entitled woman refuses to wear a mask and refuses to stay socially distanced from other shoppers inside a local grocery store. Now, if you think that is bad enough, just wait and see what she does when she is confronted by OP. It will blow your mind. Entitled parent decides to mess with me in the checkout line. I finally had my Karen in the wild experience yesterday morning. I live in the southeastern US, and we have a popular small box retailer here with a yellow sign and black letters. They are all over the rural south and in many places act as grocery and general stores to the community. I needed to stop and get an item for my vehicle before I ran morning errands, so I dropped in at our local neighborhood store, found the item and a couple of other things I wanted, and got in line. I am very conscientious about wearing a mask when I go out, and steering very clear of those who don't. The line was fairly long for a Saturday morning, and I was then third or fourth customer in line. This store funnels all customers into a sort of tunnel lined with impulse purchases, lighters, candy, magazines, small toys, that sort of thing, for checkout, and there are 3 cashier stations along the line. Only one was manned at that point. The customer in front of me was a late 30-ish woman with a young daughter who looked to be 10 or so. This was the entitled mum and OK for OK Kid. The kid wasn't so bad. She had on a cute dog face mask, but the entitled mum wasn't wearing a mask at all. She was pushing a half-full cart of items. The kid asks for a candy bar, and the entitled mum says it's okay. She then reaches for a nearby bar of candy. Then, the entitled mum starts looking at the candy, scanning the rows, and her eyes find what she wants near where I am standing. Luckily, the person behind me was not only standing at least 6 feet back, but had a cart between us as well. So, as the entitled mum came towards me, I started backing away. She kept coming closer, and I kept backing up, which she noticed. When my butt hit the cart behind me, she smiled at me and said, "Looks like you're trapped," and kept coming towards me. Guys, remember, she's not got a face mask on. Well, I walk with a cane. At that point, I raised the cane so that it was between us and said, "Please stop coming towards me. You aren't wearing a mask." She stopped and laughed, then said, "Are you gonna hit me with your cane, old lady?" I glared at her and said, "If you come any closer, I will. I am feeling very threatened." She laughed again, then put her hand up to her ear and said, "What? I couldn't hear you. Say again? Your mask is making it hard to understand you," while she was still laughing. Then her daughter started laughing too. About that time, another employee came over to open the second register, which I was standing directly in front of. Usually they say, "I can help the next customer here," but instead she said, "I can ring you up, mom," to me. I put my purchases down on the counter and she reached for the first item to scan. The entitled mum said, "Hey, wait, I was next," and started backing up towards me again with her cart in tow. The cashier said, "Mom, you have already passed me. The next cashier will have to take care of you." Now, the entitled mum didn't like this, but she turned back forward to see the first cashier had finished ringing up the customer in front of her and had turned her station lights off, signaling that she was closed. The entitled mum said, "Hey, where are you going? You haven't rung me up." The first cashier said, "Sorry, I'm scheduled for my break now and I will get written up if I don't go on time," and walked away and out the door. The entitled mum is now fuming and turns back to the second cashier. She waits for my cashier to be done with my purchase, then starts to back up again. This makes it impossible for me to leave as we are in that tunnel, and I say, "Mom, you're gonna have to go forward and leave the tunnel so I can get out." She stops and says, "Oh, just squeeze by me. You act like I have the plague or something." I looked directly at her and said, "As far as I'm concerned, you do." She huffed and pushed her cart forward and out of the tunnel, and I was able to squeeze by her safely. Behind me, I heard the cashier start ringing up the customer behind me who had a pretty full cart, and I turned and saw the line behind me had now 5 people in it. The entitled mum yelled, "Hey, I was next!" And as I was going out the door, she turned her buggy back into the tunnel the wrong way. Then I heard the cashier say, "Mom, you can't come back in here the wrong way. You have to get to the back of the line." Unintelligible barking came from the entitled mum as I went out the door. I admit it, I was grinning behind my mask. As I was getting into my vehicle, the first cashier was around the corner of the store, having a smoke break. She finished her cigarette, put it in the ash post, and said, "I hate people like that. We love screwing with them. Sorry she bothered you." I laughed out loud at that point and said, "Hey, you know what? This will make a good story for Reddit." She laughed too and went on into the store. I have no idea what the entitled mum did after that, but I noticed as I passed her when I left the store that she was wearing a scrub top for a local pediatrician's office. I think I might make a phone call on Monday asking them how they feel about one of their staff terrorizing those in the community who choose to wear a mask and socially distance. P.S. Cashiers, if either of you read this, thank you. I appreciate you being there for us. Now look guys, I've got to be honest, I don't know exactly where this takes place. I presume it's in America, but I don't know the laws state by state in terms of if you have to wear a mask out in public. But in England, everyone has to wear a mask now legally in stores, or you're just not allowed in. And I feel like just morally, the majority of people really should be wearing masks unless you have medical reasons not to. Because why wouldn't you wear a mask? You know, it doesn't impact you at all, and it could potentially save someone else from getting infected by you. Even if you don't know you have corona, it doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, a moral thing to do. Now, that's wearing a mask on its own. So fair enough, some people don't want to wear a mask, but don't then do what this woman is doing and then purposefully get within 6 feet of other people. I mean, again, in England, you are told to stay a socially distanced distance away from people. It ranges in different countries, but I know there are no countries that say, yes, make sure you are near other people. That's something you need to do when this coronavirus is going around. So I don't know why this entitled woman is doing this on purpose. And she clearly knows that she's making you uncomfortable because she's even asking you questions and just honestly just bullying you. Because like, what a horrible thing if you are, you know, prone to or in big danger if you were to contract the disease, or perhaps you have a family member who would be in grave danger if one of you or them were to get it, then of course you're going to be super scared of going out like this, and you are going to treat people who are not wearing masks or who are wearing masks as if they have the plague, because we don't know who has corona and who doesn't. So why is this entitled woman just, pressuring you into moving out of your way and having to squeeze by and just coming up inside your personal area? Horrible person. Honestly, it's those sort of people that I hope actually get coronavirus, and the people that are being safe, I hope they don't. Sounds bad to say that, but genuinely, like, karma, come on. Now moving on to our next post. I used the force, you female dog. One lovely spring day, I'm taking my lunch break and decided to go to the Golden Arches for one of their tasty filet-o-fish sandwiches. Their parking lot pretty much sucks. It's pretty narrow, but today the drive-thru was packed, so I figured I'd go inside, get my food, snag a few Pokemon while I wait. But that was before the show. Their L-shaped parking lot is pretty full up, but if you go to the end and turn right, there's another row of spaces, mostly empties. So I'm rolling down the parking lot, and in front of me is a woman in a generic brown Oldsmobile Buick, backing out of a space in front of me. Then back in, then out, then in at least 4 times. She's visibly flustered, and her teenage passenger seems to be yelling and freaking out. She just couldn't get the car in exactly how she wanted it. The whole time this is going on, I'm actually enjoying the show. I've got the front row seats. Cars are backing up behind me now. This lasted for maybe a minute or more. Back and forth, 3, 4, 5 passes. Finally, she kicks in reverse one last fateful time. Wham! She plows into the most beautiful, classic El Camino ever. This car was a cherry, absolutely perfect. The owner was obviously a supercar guy. This was the kind of car that won awards at car shows. I was stunned, but even more stunned when she whips into the empty row and right into a space. First try, she flies out of the car and literally runs into the lobby. Wow, I can't believe what I've just watched, but at least she's going to find the owner and make it right. Right? Nope. I parked, caught a good Pokemon, listened to the last couple seconds of the song on the oldie station, and strolled inside. The second I get in, I'm met with a shriek. That's him! That's the man that caused the whole thing! She's got the manager and the poor dude who owned the El Camino and is trying to drag them over to me. The El Camino guy looks like he might actually cry at this point. I just look at the crazy lady and ask her, actually really calmly, how did I cause an accident between 2 cars that I had no controls over? That was it. She tried sputtering something about how I rushed her by looking at her. Unfortunately for her, about a dozen people watched a demolition derby driving, including the car owner. I gave him my card with my cell phone number in case he needs a witness or something. I tell him how awesome his car is and how it should be easily fixable. Something was leaking and the front bumper was pretty dented, otherwise it could have been a lot worse. He only ever said, thanks, but the entire time I was there, I swear he was just trying not to cry. I got my food, and as I was heading out, the woman was still yelling at the manager outside by her car. I made sure she saw me get into my truck and drive off. After 10 years, I feel it's safe enough to confess that I did use my force powers to make her plow into the El Camino. I was aiming her at an old pickup truck, but she was such a bad driver. Yeah, I mean, come on, lady. At that point, just admit your mistake. Like, it is clear, and you know it yourself. Your teenage daughter or son knows it themselves. You're not a very good driver, and that's fine. Some people are better at driving than others. Still can be perfectly safe, but, you know, some people just are naturally not as good, like this woman. But then don't try and blame it on somebody else when you massively F up and crash into one of the nicest old antique cars you possibly could. That is bad luck, by the way. I've got to say that it happened to be that car. But then blaming it on this guy who literally, yes, as he says, OP is correct, is not controlling the El Camino and obviously is not controlling your car. So how could he possibly cause a crash? Your ineptitude, your inability to park a car is your own fault. I'm sorry, but just own up to your mistake. You know, what are you going to gain from trying to lie? It's just not a nice thing. Just own up. You've got insurance for a reason. It's illegal not to have insurance. So, you know, you've got insurance. Yes, it's annoying. You're going to have to pay some money, but that's about it. Come on, be a decent human being. Own up to your mistake. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this episode of r/EntitledParents, let me know down below in the comments, and let's try and hit 5,000 likes. I don't normally set like targets, but you know what? Let's go for 5,000. Those of you that are still watching, hit the like button, and let's try and hit 5k. If you are new to my channel and you want more right away, check out this playlist of all my EntitledParents videos. If you want to see my videos each and every day when they're uploaded, make sure to press this button to subscribe and turn notifications on so you are notified when I upload. And finally, if you would like some merch for Christmas, that is down here as well. All right, peace, guys. I'll see you tomorrow with 2 brand new uploads.